The odds are not looking too great, to say the least. OG obviously heavy favorites. There's really nothing else to say about this. Honestly, for Spirit, if they can get one game off of OG, then they're in a good spot.
Well, and it's worth noting that across the rest of this Group A, an incredibly hard group, I might add, they are probably the biggest underdogs. People have really been liking what they've been seeing out of Newbie recently, myself included. But I think that they still do have. Obviously, everybody still has a chance at this early stage in the tournament, but they are going to need to make top 3 to be able to get out of this group stage. And considering that already right now, Newbie was the only is the only team to have only played one set so far out of Group A, and they tied at 1-1. The other two teams ended up going 0-2 and 0-2 across the board. So right now, Team Spirit, while they do technically have a chance to be able to continue on, it's somewhat out of their hands, because if the top 3 teams just continue to play really well, they can get knocked out by tiebreakers. Let's say, for instance, if EG is the one team that ends up tying series 1-1, and then they end up going further forward, Team Spirit get knocked out because of tiebreakers. So I do think that they're still going to need to keep their eyes on it. They need to, at the end of the day, you just got to win. And that's Team Spirit stuff. And maybe they get a little bit of help along the way, too.
Hopefully. And we also have to take a look at what kind of drafts that we're going to be seeing, because obviously having a favorable draft means that you're going to have an easier time in controlling the tempo of the game. And they're going to start off with an OG pick right off the bat. So we've seen them play this hero before, and to great success, although with a couple of problems during the mid game.
Yeah, they picked this hero facing off against Nubin, as you mentioned. He's an incredibly high damage dealing hero, but the problem that they ended up facing was, how did they end the game? And that's really what it came down to, was that they didn't have a great way to take high ground. I think that there were several moments in that game where they could have just sort of blasted through, and possibly they end up being able to, push high ground with an Aegis, but instead they end up running into problems with actually going for it. And I have a feeling that Team Spirit are going to try and address that with the rest of these picks. Already, Chen and Enchantress have been banned out by OG. They don't want to be seeing them around. And it's worth noting, we just saw a really fabulous Invoker coming out from Miracle over I think it was in the first series that they played earlier today, and I think that they also might have had one at I think that they had one just recently against EG too. So really potent on this hero. But what do you think about the matchup, OD against Invoker?
So typically in an intelligence versus intelligence matchup, OD is going to have a pretty good time, as he is able to steal intelligence with Arcane Orb. Invoker, though, he is a very strong mid laner himself. If the Invoker does get a little bit of help and they can actually grab a kill on the OD or force him into a defensive positioning, then Invoker can definitely walk all over the OD too. It's a matter of who gets help or who gets the first blood or whatnot. So it could be a very even matchup, depending on how the heroes are played out.
Well, and obviously I'd imagine too, if you end up getting help in your lane, and considering the state of the meta, it's been a lot more about moving around the map to trying to find help whenever you can. Vengeful Spirit is the next pick, another really safe one. I think that she has one of the higher win rates in 6.86, if I'm not mistaken. Just incredibly versatile. And the thing about this that's really awesome is it just leaves your draft that much more open to be able to go wherever you want with it. And Fly, known really well for his drafting in the Frankfurt Major and being able to take them through to the victory, also off the back of some really good stuff. Here we go. Gold-Black pulling out his strats. We're going to be seeing the Treant Protector, probably with the Iron Talon into Aghanim Scepter. That's the way that they've tended to like to play this hero. It's a pretty interesting one. I like seeing him.
I like seeing him too. He's not very popular, but what he does is great. He plays to a certain degree like a bounty hunter once he's got the mana pool to sort of walk around in the nature skies, scout things out and help the team just sort of set up some of those kills if they want to maybe go for a global strat, or if they're going to grab something like a Spirit Breaker to go for those global gank sort of styles. So Treant Protector, great hero. And also you have to remember, if you're OG and you don't commit to a tower, just expect it to be at 100% HP by the time you get back to it, because it's to be healed up.
I think that that's something that's really relevant. You need to be very aware of actually finishing off those objectives and not leaving them to the very end. And, glyphs becoming that much more important and being able to, keep those alive. Also, the other thing is helping out in lane. I talked about the ganks that can come on in. The Treant Protector armor is very, very helpful at making sure you don't die in the early game, particularly against something like a Vengeful Spirit, who sometimes relies upon that minus armor from the Wave of Terror to make that happen. Also going to be seeing the Nature's Prophet band as well as the Brewmaster Nyx Assassin. I like the Nyx band. That makes a lot of sense to me. I was wondering if we might end up seeing something like a Night Stalker or a Coddle coming out from OG to be able to get that extra vision, so that if you do end up running into problems, like you said, with the Treant Protector, eventually they're going to need to get a gem if he gets a relatively quick Ag Scepter. And the way that Golblack has played Treant Protector in the past, he really does allow you to get that the Ags before you would expect it. It's really, really good.
Absolutely. The question is, have you seen Moon play Invoker with a Necrobook? Because Necrobook is one way you can also get rid of the Treant wards, or at least spot them out so they can chop it down.
I haven't. I don't know if Miracle tries to go for that build all that often. I've mainly seen him play Quas Wex, and going on into Aghanim Scepter later on, so that way he can sort of unlock all those spells. And I feel like if you're going to do that, you kind of want to be able to get some other item that gives you a bit more mobility. But you can go that route. That's the thing about Invoker that's so awesome, is that he can be incredibly versatile, and you can build him whatever way you want based upon the skill or item builds. And I think that that's a relevant pickup if you wanted to go that route. Bane as well as Rubik also going to be taken, just some other very strong laning heroes. Even if this isn't a Vengeful Spirit in the carry role, this lane would be really scary to walk into for any offlaner on the side of Team Spirit.
Absolutely. I said Moon for some reason. I meant Miracle.
Oh, yeah.
They're both M's. It's not easy. But both teams have picked up both supports though. So you've got the Bane, one of the best laning supports in the current game, whereas for OG, they've got some pretty open supports. Rubik for spell steals, you've got Vengeful Spirit for swaps. All across the board though, I'd say OG, they're looking very solid. They go for a Spirit Breaker. So they are going to try and play aggressive. I expect this is to be a Exort Invoker, so there is going to be Sunstrikes across the map. They need the final hero to really finish up their draft with some damage output.
Yeah.
Unless it's going to be a core Venge.
I think that they're not forced into that, but it definitely is a possibility.
Because right now their draft is mostly circled around this Invoker, because he's the only one that's doing any real source of damage for their team. Because Rubik is going to be reliant on stealing spells. Spirit Breaker's purely there to sort of mix the fights a little bit with Nether Strikes and charges, but he doesn't really do that much by himself.
Yeah, it is something that I'm curious to see. Like, this is often a point where you would sometimes see teams pick up like a last pick Gyro. Obviously that already being banned out, but those types of heroes that do a decent amount of damage but need some farm. I really think, like you said, they need somebody who can come online early. Vengeful Spirit does fit that bill as a carry that can fight early and often. But it's very difficult sometimes if you don't get those early levels of farm. She falls off so hard. And Team Spirit haven't picked their last offlaner yet, so depending upon what they go for here. I mean, their lanes are already really strong. You take a look at Sven Bane, that's a very strong lane. Treant Protector is going to be sort of in that, I'm assuming, jungling role. I think that's the way that Golblack's going to play that. And then you have the Treant Protector armor that can come back throughout the whole course of the laning stage to make sure if you do get dove, or if you want to dive towers, you're going to be okay to do that. So I don't know if a Vengeful Spirit lane is going to be able to stand up to that if they pick another relatively weak support. We'll see. I mean, it can be a really strong lane in terms of the right click damage and disables they've got, but mid game, like you said, I agree, there could be some damage issues.
Yeah, so the Brood Mother ban here for OG, not really wanting to deal with a Brood Mother in lane, and I wouldn't blame them, they don't have the best heroes to deal with Spiderlings. Team Spirit looking for their final ban as well, so I wonder what they get rid of. They get rid of the Jug. Jug would have been a nice pickup here for OG, honestly. Synergize well with the Venge and the Rubik. Wow, Vengeful Drow combo!
Yeah.
Well, it is going to be damage output. in the form of giving that aura to the Invoker too and the Venge. So the idea is there, but there's so many heroes on Team Spirit where they could just sort of bypass OG to get to the Drow. This is actually a really good place for Team Spirit to potentially pick up a Clockwork here.
Yeah, I like the Clockwork pick. That seems pretty strong to me. Again, the issue is the Vengeful Spirit swap. And being able to get the Drow Ranger out of there. I think really the answer is they just need to make sure that the Treant Protector gets in close on Drow. They can't start a fight without knowing exactly where Drow is. They have to have that scouting thing.
Do you really want the tree to get in there though? I would expect the Sven to be the best hero to go in for Team Spirit.
Just to start the fight and then have Sven with the follow-up blink. Like I think that if you get into a situation where Drow Ranger is able to get off that BKB before you can overgrowth, it doesn't matter what else you've got, because Bane probably isn't going to be able to get in position. Sven can blink and like follow up with a long range stun, but you have to control that Drow Ranger and get up close to her. I don't think that you try and stay there as a tree. I think that you have to get away as quickly as possible, but popping overgrowth is going to be pretty good, and the fact that you can do that from Invis is all the better. But Afterlife offlane Zeus. All right, last pick coming in.
I was thinking that they might decide to go for a Slaughter. Then at least it would help Ramses as well as Iceberg do that little bit of extra physical damage up against OG. But Zeus, yeah. This is going to be a Zeus versus a Invoker.
Oh, they switched it.
What's the chances?
They switched it.
What's the chances? Did they switch it?
Yeah, it's actually Iceberg playing the Zeus, and they've brought. Yeah. They're going an aggro try.
So what's the chances of Iceberg having a good time up against an Invoker, though? It's a Zeus. He is a very squishy and vulnerable hero with no escape mechanism.
I'm not sure. I think that if he gets a relatively quick... yeah, I don't like it, actually, now that I'm thinking about it more.
Yeah, it doesn't sound great.
Yeah.
Unless they have Go Black just consistently popping the living armor on Icebergs, and he has that consistent regen and damage mitigation, but that means you're committing your Treant Protector to keeping the Zeus alive, and Zeus isn't going to be dominating that lane.
Yeah. No,
they could bring the Bane in, though. I guess Fly could come in with the Bane and harass the Invoker for a little bit, but for how long are you going to be doing that for?
Right, no, definitely. It's something where you have to... And that sacrifices your OD. All of these things end up sort of adding up, and it's definitely a strange pick. I do think, though, that with the lanes being as strong as they are on the other side, they're probably going to end up being okay. Golblack actually ended up going for Boots of Speed, so they're playing this differently than I thought they would. It's not going to be the Treant Protector farming, at least as of yet. He ended up going for the Boots of Speed and can get the slow off a bit later, but the aggro tri-lane is going to run into the Drow Ranger down here bottom, and she might end up having a bad time if she's not careful. Rubik and the Invoker in the mid lane, Miracle as well as Crit. Heading up top, we're also going to have Moon, who's going to be playing his Spirit Breaker, Fly on the Vengeful Spirit, and as I mentioned, No Tail on that Drow Ranger bottom lane, as we're having already a little bit of damage here in the mid lane against Iceberg. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's a very sad Zeus. But on the side of Team Spirit, we have Afterlife handling the OD in the top lane. He did take a lot of damage, but he got the top rune previously. So as you may have seen, both runes going in the way of Spirit. We have Go Black on our Treant Protector. We've got Iceberg on the Zeus. Down towards the bottom lane. Always want to fly on the Bane. Definitely flying this game. And finally, we got Ramses 666 on our Sven.
Yep.
Oh, that curry died! Oh no.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well that happened. That was another Clarity, I believe. Actually, no, it was a Healing Salve and an Ironwood Branch, so they don't count the consumables in the Courier, unfortunately. So that really hurts for the Zeus right now. I mean, he hasn't taken a ton of damage, but it means that he has to play that much further back because he knows he's not just going to be able to head on over and salve after the fact. Very, very odd start to this game. The other thing that I'll mention real quickly is that we actually did have Iceberg take the OD, and then they swapped once they got into game. So maybe playing a little bit of mind games here. They're going to bring Iceberg down to the low ground, lift up. I don't know if they have any more ability to catch him out, but they are at least alacrity up the Rubik to make sure that he gets a little bit more damage there. Very, very odd start.
And first blood on the Drow Ranger as well. They do get a quick snipe onto the Sven though with Miracle's Invoker, but it's your Drow. Solo lane Drow getting picked off. This is not going to help the Drow but they have got control in this top lane, it seems, though.
Yeah.
So Fly as well as Moon just being a bit of a nuisance in the top lane. Afterlife taking a lot of damage and all of a sudden going to get jumped on here by Goblack as well as the OD. Can they take down Fly, though? Just one more right click from both will be enough. Two more, they're out of range. And all of a sudden you got the Spirit Breaker there with the charge. Fly going to go for a bit of a turn, but here comes our Rubik as well. Lift onto Afterlife. He may be set to the Afterlife very shortly. The heal coming out from Goblack. Is it going to be enough? He's being blocked up by creeps. He does drop. With the help of both supports on the side of OG, they weren't able to help the OD, unfortunately. And a no kill for Spirit as well, as they did try to get Fly on this Vengeful Spirit. Null down bottom. Rest in pieces, Drow. Second death in the row.
What is even going on up here? Goblack taking a lot of harassment, as well as we do have Afterlife coming back into the lane. 4 kills so far. This is the thing that's really weird about this. I mean, how often are you going to see an OD Treant Protector lane facing off against now diving them, crit and the Spirit Breaker? They're going to be able to get the hit now. Does end up healing himself with the living armor, and at least for now they're going to have to back on out. Just lifted him up, hit him a couple of times with the creeps. This is the thing that's so weird about this matchup. I mean, World Devourer does have 6 armor though, so he can tank the creeps fairly well. I don't think that this hurts him too bad.
No, it really doesn't. Although, fortunately for his supporting crew here, Goblack, he's going to be farming the jungle a little bit. He has been consistently using that living armor. If you've been watching him, he's got no mana left for anything. He actually used a leech seed for the jungle just then, but he is just consistently healing himself, the OD, the tower, just everything in this top lane is just had to be on top of everything. Here a cold snap in the mid lane. Didn't quite get Iceberg, unfortunately. Probably just some harassment coming out from Miracle, but the lanes for Spirit, how would you say the lanes are going for either side?
Oh, hold up.
Goodness,
Iceberg. He's going to end up falling here. Does dodge the strike. Actually, he's going to be able to survive with the regen rune. My goodness gracious. And now the turnaround, being able to throw out the arc lightning. Man, that regen rune coming in full effect. Also has a full bottle now and is going to be able to kill off Fly. I think one more hit is going to do it, and Bane gets that kill. Before that moment, I would have said that it was not going very well. With Zeus being able to be a part of those 2 kills, it really turns it back around. It's actually 1,000 gold going the direction of Team Spirit. And I guess that they're behind in a lot of their lanes. The saving grace is that they've been shutting down the Drow. And the Star Ranger, I mean, a Drow without farm is just not good. I don't really know what other way to say it. She's going to have a very hard time, and they need to start to transition into getting her a little bit more help in lane, as the Vengeful Spirit does end up TPing down here.
Yeah, so let's hope this is going to be enough to keep the Drow Ranger alive, because if Drow keeps dying, she's not going to be in a very good spot. In the meantime, though, what are your thoughts on OG putting a lot of emphasis onto Afterlife on the OD? Do you think it's paid off, or would you say it hasn't really impacted the OD in general?
In terms of pressuring him?
Yes.
I think that he is still not having the best game in the world. I don't know if he necessarily has to, though, because once he does get that level 6 up, or starts leveling the Sanity's Eclipse, depending on how he wants to do it, you can still be really, really effective with that, as we do see Iceberg drop pretty low in the mid lane. I think that he is going to die here, bottling up. Nice defensive Nightmare. Always want to fly the turnaround. They do end up popping the Fairy Fire, but in the end, they end up getting the kill. He's not really the best flash farmer as far as catching up, but if he goes into team fights with his team, I think that Sanity's Eclipse is enough damage, given the low in heroes here, that he's probably going to be able to survive, as it does look like Afterlife might end up falling here. Can they find a kill? Well, he needs to get out of lane. Spearbreaker has a charge. Yeah, he's getting out of there.
Yeah. But it does force the OD out of lane, as you said, and Sunstrike won't land. Wrong lane, friend. Sorry, Miracle, no kills for you. So Afterlife will manage to get home safe and sound, whereas Moon, if he had the vision, I'm pretty sure Moon definitely would have gone for the charge on the OD earlier, but he did lose that vision. You have a rotation down bottom with Always Want to Fly. I'm going to put an Observer Ward first to see where everyone is in the jungle, and he will spot out the Rubik at least. He's got no support, but there is a charge coming through with the Spirit Breaker now. Are they going to make anything happen? All the supports know where Fly is, and they're all going to get into position for this as well. So here we go. Drow coming, going to go for a silence straight into Rams. It hits him twice, and he just backs up. Now all of a sudden, here comes a charge onto Fly, and 4 heroes converging onto a support. That's a dead Bane, or is he? He should be dead. Rest in pieces.
Oh, he had already used up all of his mana. I mean, you end up forcing out 4 heroes in the bottom lane, so they're really doing a good job now of trying to secure the Drow Ranger her farm, and that's leaving a little bit more space open for OD to catch back up. It's true that definitely OD is not going to be able to be that same complete and total force that we saw in the first game, but again, this is sort of that off lane OD, which we've almost never seen, but he's in the safe lane. I guess solo safe lane OD is better sort of what he is than necessarily the off lane position. I think that pretty much what their thoughts are is they're banking on the Sven carry in the later stages, as we do end up seeing the Nightmare there on the Miracle. We do have rotations on Infant Fly. They're going to be able to lift. Do stack up the stuns, though. Iceberg is still going to fall, but they do end up getting the kill in the end on the Invoker after he was able, on the Zeus rather, after he was able to kill off the Invoker. And now it looks like Always Wanna Fly is going to die. Also, Nether Strike onto Golblack. He is going to drop no invis, no mana, no nothing, and a quick 3-for-1 trade. Not what you need if you're Team Spirit.
Yeah, they did lose the Invoker in the process, and Afterlife just going to be nicking that invisibility rune before he got spotted out. The unfortunate thing for the Invoker was he died before the Zeus did. He wasn't able to snag the EXP from the Zeus kill. He wasn't able to get much out of it. There is 2 mid with Spirit though, but they've got to be so careful with their positioning. OD is with the Invis rune, and all of a sudden Iceberg not going to commit with the charge, it seems, as the Moon thinks twice about trying to go in there. Got one down bottom though, got Ramses here. He only has boots though, so not really much the Sven can do outside of crossing his fingers and hoping the Stormhammer hits more than one.
Yeah. The plus side is that he is going to have a 3 stack up on the Ancients, and we'll be able to take that out, probably popping his God strength forward a little bit later on, but definitely not completely and totally going the way that they want it right now, as OG have taken about a 2k lead. Not incredibly completely and totally ridiculous at this stage. The next several minutes are going to be really telling of what's going to end up happening. They pop the Zeus ulti, and immediately Afterlife is like, all right, I'm getting the heck out of here, guys. Screw you all. And he does have a charge up on the Spirit Breaker, but I don't think that they're going to be able to find him, and I'm expecting to see some counter push down in the bottom lane. Maxed out cleave on Sven, actually.
This is the farming Sven build.
Yeah.
And this is just preparation for when he wants to go for the Ancients, to get the maximum amount of damage output to finish up those as soon as possible. If you think about it, right, Ramsey isn't really fighting with the rest of his team, so he doesn't really have to go for the max points into Stormhammer yet. He knows he's going to be farming for that little bit more, so he can get away with the cleave build for now, but once he does get some more points into Stormhammer, then we will see him sort of battle ready to help out the rest of his team. For now, they're going to have to slow it down a little bit and hope that they can get the farm on both the OD or the Sven, or at least one of them, to be the tempo controller and make sure that they can make space for the one that doesn't have farm.
Yeah, well, and right now, again, it's not the worst thing in the world, the fact that OD doesn't have it yet. He did just pick up his ulti with his last level up, so having Sanity's Eclipse for this next engagement is going to be really, really key. We do have Spirit Breaker scouting all this out. He realizes where everybody is and is going to be able to be sort of that mobile ward, as we do have Fly moving off to the side also. Looks like we're going to have a big engagement. We don't have Sven here at this point in time. I don't know if can take this without him, and honestly I don't even know if they can take it with him. This is a really scary situation.
They possibly could, but it's up to OG and their positioning as to whether or not they're going to let Spirit catch them. And it looks like for now, OG want to play safe. They've just ported the Invoker down towards the bottom lane, and they're not completely dispersing from this top lane. If they're not careful and Spirit tries to scout that jungle, they could potentially find 4 of these heroes.
Alright, well, looks like Spirit are a little bit spooked too. They're going to back on out of there. Golblack just keeps on farming up a storm, but he's ended up going for that Iron Talon. Haste Rune coming in? Crit? Thinking about doing something. It's hard to find him.
It's just a Rubik though.
Yeah.
What can he do? He can look around, just walk on his speedy little feet, just run to Iceberg. Get out of my lane. Shoo. Yeah. Shoo, you pest.
Oh, they're actually going to be able to catch him though. Stormhammer goes in the first time. I'm a little surprised. Oh, and now it's stolen. Okay, that ain't good. I don't know if they're going to be able to punch this any further, though. Bane, a little bit faster in the movement speed than Rubik. I about 20? Nah, not going to get it.
If there was a grip from the Bane, then I think they would have tried to go for the kill onto the Rubik.
Oh,
just a little bit too slow, unfortunately.
Uh-oh, Afterlife, very, very all out on his own. This is not going to end well. This is the most dead OD I've seen in a while. Charge goes through. There's the Wave of Terror. There's going to be the Nether Strike. Ends up getting it off at the end, and oh my goodness gracious. Yeah, that's a lot of damage. You need to not do that.
I like what OG's doing though. They sacked the Drowse farm early game, and then after they've passed that early game phase, they said, okay, we are going to babysit No Tail and pretty much spoon feed him kills or assists.
Yeah.
And they're doing a very good job of it too. No Tail hasn't died since the laning phase, and he is farming very well. 1.4k on top of an Aquila, Power Treads, and a band of Elven Skin. So he is well on his way to building whatever he wants to at this point. I presume it'll be Sand and Yasha, just the standard stuff on Drow, unless he wants to go for a Shadow Blade.
I mean, it's always an option. Against the Zeus, it's probably not the best in the world, just because of the way that hero ends up interacting. But I do like the fact that you still see Team Spirit here doing what they need to do. They ended up going over and clearing out the stack that got Sven his Ogre Club, so he's getting closer to being able to pick up either the Sanjin Yasha or the BKB, depending upon which way he wants to run it. I've seen both of them. I think we saw our TZ run the Sanjin Yasha build earlier and really use it to great effect. A couple of other heroes, it really depends on sort of which way you want to play the hero, and if you want to try and play for the late game, or if you want to just try and sort of go for the early aggression. Though I think that he's probably going to end up going for BKB just to be able to sort of keep Pat. What are your thoughts?
BKB, well, considering they have a team like this, like you're always going to have the swap.
Yeah.
So it's not mandatory. Afterlife should be dying, but there's going to be a quick save here from Always Wanna Fly, but they're going to lose Afterlife anyway with the stolen Stormhammer. Gripsa says, okay, screw that. I'm going to take both of you instead.
He also
even gets both kills.
He
got Grip too?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that ain't good.
Oh, this is... No, it is not. Wow, Crit's going to be very happy Rubik this game.
We do end up back in Viz again. I do have Overgrowth now, going to be able to get the slow off at the very start. Moon ends up getting caught out. Now they're going to be able to kill him off. I believe they don't have enough mana for a stun, and it's still on cooldown regardless. Magic Missile is continuing kiting away here on Ramses. He's in a lot of trouble. Unfortunately, the Zeus ulti was not able to kill off Moon on the Spirit Breaker. Still alive, and there's the Urn Charge to boot to keep the Vengeful Spirit there. If they wanted to, they could think about re-engaging here, but they're going to play it safe, just back on out. Mechanism completed on Invoker. The not often sought after item.
This is a Exort Invoker too. This is the last item you would expect on an aggressive Invoker. Well, I guess he could, you know, go all in and know that he's going to have the extra regeneration from the mech. Like, who knows? Maybe they just felt like, hey, someone has to buy Mechanism. No one's ideal. Miracle, you do it. Buy the Mechanism for us. You don't need items.
Yeah.
We can handicap you with the Mechanism. You're fine.
Well, it really comes down to the fact, I think, that, you know, they've got enough damage. They've got Drowora, they got Venjora, they've got Alacrity. I mean, all of these things end up working together incredibly well. They also have a decent chunk of control, so the only thing really left is, like you said, regeneration and being able to sustain. I honestly wouldn't be entirely surprised to see him go back for Guardians, maybe. He did end up going Treads, but I don't know, it seems fairly okay. You get the bonus armor that comes out from that also, and now he's going to make sure he gets that mech off because he's got the Aegis.
Yeah, it won't hurt. I think the only unfortunate thing is that there's nothing good to dispel this game.
Right.
If there was, then obviously the Guardian Greaves would be an even higher priority. I think at this point he could just sort of bypass it and just go for the standard items on this Invoker. He doesn't really, you know, have to go for the Guardian Greaves. They're looking very good right now.
Yeah.
Here in OG shoes, whereas for Spirit, high ground scenario yet again.
Yeah, this is pretty crazy. It does look like Spirit Breaker is going to be going for a Shadow Blade. Drow's already picked on up the Yasha. What are some of these other items? Iron Talon as well as the Point Booster completed. Oh man, they're going to steal the stack over here. It's not as much as it was before, but still really, really relevant and losing a good chunk of gold off the back of it. I don't see any game-changing items here from Spirit. I really don't think that they have... There's one item that answers all of their problems. And even like the KB up on Sven, he's still going to have issues getting kited.
Yeah.
Maybe it is going to end up being Sanjin Yasha, and then you've got the extra movement speed, but I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it's going to be a BKB, but it'll be a Blink and a BKB to solve all of Ramsey's problems, and obviously going to be saving up for both. It's going to take way too long. The game might be over by the time Sven's even close to getting both of those items.
Yeah.
He can get one maybe, but he's got to make that one count.
Totally.
And for the moment, the time's running out because they have heroes pushing on their T3 tower mid lane. And unfortunately for Spirit, their counter push is not that great outside of Iceberg.
Yeah, really not the best in the world. And the other thing about this, I've seen Zeus picked a couple of times to deal with push lineups. And particularly when there's a Venge in the game who's going to end up being able to probably pick up an Aether Lens next, you really can't rely upon the Zeus to be able to get you out of those problems being your only source of D-push, because even an Aether Lens isn't going to really increase his range enough to be able to keep him from getting swapped, particularly once Venge ends up getting that item herself. So late game, when the chips are really on the table, like Team Spirit needed delay, but I don't know if their delayed late game is going to be that much significantly better than OG's.
No, I completely agree with everything you said there. And it's up to Spirit as to whether or not they're going to be able to find openings from OG. Because we've been following Spirit for all of our games for today, and we see that they do have potential in having some really great teamfight execution. It's just if they can find the openings. Afterlife can be sent back to the grave. Rest in pieces, OG. For 40 seconds, you can sit there and think about what you're going to do next. But the game's just not getting easier for Spirit. It's not like they can purely rely on the late game, as you said. Iceberg going to be charged down by a Spirit Breaker. Do anything else? Actually cancels the charge there with the bolt.
Fancy.
And no commitment. Very fancy.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Tier 2s.
Can't do much.
All right.
BKB is done.
I mean, there you go. We got a BKB done. It's pretty solid. Again, how are you going to deal with the fact that all of the damage is still coming in at you and you can continue to keep them far away? I think it does come back to, again, maybe Golblack finding a good initiation. If he's able to get the over off, they're in a much better situation then. That in and of itself is really hard, and I would have loved to maybe even see him go for a Blink Dagger this game instead. There's the charge through, hits onto 3. They do end up getting a huge amount of damage on out though. Maybe a turnaround, Overgrowth onto 2. They're doing a lot of cleave damage. There's going to be the turnaround with the Sandy's Eclipse also, and all of a sudden 4 heroes are dead on the side of OG. There is the Aegis popped. OG Miracle is going to end up going down. A couple more right clicks, still staying alive with the Stormhammer stolen. They're going to get another 2-person stun off the back of the telekinesis. OG Miracle trying to get out of there. They do have another Thunderbolt in 2 seconds. Not very fast with that one, as they are going to be able to turn this back around. It looks like Crit's going to fall, as is Miracle, and my goodness gracious, have they actually done it? Actually, Crit gets out. What a player.
That was the opening that Spirit was looking for. They finally found it, and we all of a sudden have a massive 4.6k gold swing. 4.6k, and roughly 1k of it goes to the OG, which is great. It means that OG is going to start getting a couple of those items to really help him scale into a late game scenario. Spirit Breaker charging up top, but I'm pretty sure Moon only wants to get into lane quicker, not to actually jump OD. Is he really going to commit? He's got a Shadow Blade.
Nice.
He's not. Okay, good job. Don't do it, Moon. It's tempting.
The plus side of this, and this is sort of what we talked about a little bit, was that Sanity Eclipse did so much damage. You take a look at a lot of these heroes here, Drow Ranger in particular, not very high int. You've got Spear Breaker, he's not very smart either. Invoker obviously has incredible int gain, but the Rubik, not the highest in the world, pretty high for a support, but it's still sort of one of those situations where because OD is able to lay out that big old huge nuke on top of a Zeus ulti, and particularly, again, the cleave that came out from Sven. They just grouped together too much. They underestimated the amount of damage that Team Spirit was able to dole out. I don't know if they're going to be able to replicate that kind of success again, though.
It's all up to Team Spirit. So there's a charge. They're going to jump right onto Iceberg. They're going to be Astral to keep him alive, but 3-man stun coming up from the Rubik. It was stolen. Iceberg going to be hit a little bit more. He should be dropping here. BKB under Ramses. Going to try and jump onto No Tail, but unfortunately he juked him into the tree line. Now trying to fight up against Miracle, but Miracle's actually chopping through him quite a bit, and here comes No Tail trying to do whatever he can, but unfortunately there comes Golblack with a beautiful overgrowth, and all of a sudden they do finish up the OD, and now Golblack's in trouble. This could be a complete team up in the opposite direction. No detection. They can't see the tree. He is invisible among his brethren, and only Golblack will be the lone survivor, and never mind, they found him with the sentry ward. He walked into it. And we have a topsy-turvy game as it's now... Oh, Miracle's just going to tank the tower. Okay.
He's not afraid. He's not afraid to tank the tower. He got Bane coming back into it. Oh my goodness, what a weird freaking collection of games. They are going to get the grip off, but immediately canceled. Sunstrike is going to hit, and Invoker gets the kill. They cancel a secondary TP because they don't want to end up right into it. And this is how this should have gone last time. If you're Team OG, we just see it go back and forth again. From a 10k net worth lead to about 5k. They definitely made the game a little bit harder on themselves than it had to be. And Team Spirit showed what they need to be able to win the game, which is a big overgrowth and then Sven just chopping away.
Not just the Sven though, but also the backline DPS with the OD as well as the Zeus. But it's a dream scenario, and you can't get dreams every single time. You can wish upon a star, but you're not going to get it.
Don't let your dreams be dreams, Danny.
That's what it is right now, unfortunately. In this situation, though, if I was Go Black, he's going for an Aghanim, which is fine. It's going to give you vision in the jungle. But I would love to see him pick up a Blink Dagger to really ease up the execution when it comes to overgrowth. Because if you're OG, obviously because of those couple of initiations, you have to respect the tree, and you can't really let him sort of walk in there and just go straight for those 4 to 5 man overgrowths. You just can't let it happen anymore.
Yeah.
And Blink Dagger would pretty much alleviate all the pressure from Go Black because he doesn't have to walk in, he can just blink in an overgrowth.
No, definitely. I think that's something to keep in mind. And it's always something that I've kind of wondered about with the Go Black strategy that he runs, because he gets himself so much gold with that Iron Talon, and you do wonder what would be the relative effectiveness. Can you come online quickly enough to make it worth it? Also worth noting, Rubik was able to steal Nature's Guise, so he's been running around invisible. Currently it's up to level 3, and he's working towards that Aghanim Scepter himself. He's only about 1,700 gold away from finishing it off, and you end up getting that. We've seen how effective his spell steals have been so far this game. Already has the Blink Dagger. He's really freaking farmed.
And not only that though, because he's going to have the Ags, he'll get... There's 4 heroes on the side of Spirit who have Ags upgraded ultimates.
Yeah.
So obviously, if you can get any of those, that'll be great. The biggest one, I believe, would... Actually, I don't know if you want the OD ult, honestly.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. I guess you wouldn't mind the Sven ultimate, because then you sort of buff up your allies, even though Rubik doesn't do that much.
Right. Well, let's see. Actually, I think all of them do. I guess no, the... Tree and Protector, I don't think you get Eyes in the Forest.
I don't think you should.
Yeah, but you do get the Zeus one. Bane's is okay this draft. There are only a couple of ways. Pretty much everybody has a way to break it without inflicting themselves with Nightmare. But it's still something that might catch you off guard. Like if Rubik is fiend scripting somebody and then you right-click the person, you right-click the Rubik, you all of a sudden are afflicted with Nightmare. That's kind of unfortunate.
Yeah.
But Ramses, Blink Dagger, BKB, he's at the stage where he can fight now. I don't know if he's at the stage where he's doing enough damage. That's what time will tell at this stage.
Yeah. But this T1 tower will help at least. So T1 going in the way of Team Spirit, slowly crawling back into this game, whereas OG, they didn't really defend because they wanted the Aegis instead, going to Miracle again on the Invoker, because why not? And Miracle's build, however, his current item set, what are your thoughts on this?
It is very odd. There's no question about it. I mean,
it's different.
Yeah, you've got your drums. You've got we do end up having a little bit of a fight down here in the bottom lane. Unfortunately, it looks like Rubik is going to be able to get out of there. So no such luck in terms of fighting him. Also worth noting, still only 900 gold away from finishing it off. That Aghanim Scepter, and it looks like Spearbreaker is actually going to go in for this charge. That was a little bit scary. Yeah, the item build. I don't know. I'm not sure about the Hyperstone going back for it. I guess the fact of the matter is that he's just getting tanky by also helping his team get tanky.
Is it Assault Caress? Is he just going for the pure aura build?
That seems
on
to
this
make
Invoker?
sense, yeah.
Because that's what I'm picking up with this.
I think that, like, the problem that I find with it, though, is that sort of the tankiness of the Invoker, he's still going to have to deal with like all of that right-click damage coming in and the magical damage coming in. I don't know if he's going to be able to survive a big burst, and all of a sudden, like maybe you build a couple of items that allow him to survive longer in a team fight instead, like a Yule Scepter or something else like that, and then you rely more upon his spell use as opposed to just sort of being this walking aura, you know?
Yeah, I would like to see him build something to make him more useful than just an aura bot.
Right.
I guess he right-clicks too, so you can't really say he's just an aura bot, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I'd like to see a little bit more from him. Unless he's just tired and says, guys, can I have a break this game? Can I just be an aura bot? I don't want to do too much. I need to save my energy. We've got so many more games to go.
Needs to step
We
it
actually
up.
have quite a few left, right? Have we got 2 more best of 2s after this?
2 more best of 2s after this. This is still game 1 of this series, and Team Spirit, this is second to last series, so a lot on the table at this stage. It's going to be interesting to see. They need to really, I think they need a 2-0 here to be able to really stand. It depends on what else is going on. But yeah, definitely important, and it looks like, at least at this point in time, OG with the AC completed are going to start marching down mid lane, and I don't know how you stop this.
We'll have to see if Spirit can stop it. If anyone can do it, it's Spirit, because they are playing this game.
I cannot argue with that logic at all. As Fly
But for now, just gonna have OG just slowly chipping away at this mid T3 tower as Spirit. They're gonna... Oh, they go for a quick swap. They went to Iceberg. There's a lift as well, and he's immediately gonna be blown up. But there goes the overgrowth. Can they do anything? Iceberg didn't die. He actually managed to get out of there. They get a quick kill onto the Vengeful Spirit, and all of a sudden, they're gonna try and go for a quick jump onto Ramses. He is isolated by himself. They do lose the Sven right off the bat, though. It's a Vengeful Spirit for a Sven. All of a sudden, a quick Astral by the Afterlife, but unfortunately that's going to kill his teammate off, as Go Black won't live for that much longer. OD is going to be dropping in the hands of Moon. Now Iceberg going to be by himself, going to try and get a quick kill here. Can he get a kill onto Crit though? Going to be lifted up. Crit. Nope. And he dies. Rip.
What a play.
Could have been a hero.
Really, really
Could have been
nicely
a
done.
hero. Unfortunately, they lost their Raxes, and then you take a look at this Delta split from OG. One down bottom, one up top, and these T3 towers are not going to be up for very long.
It's just such a good play by them. They realize what they need to do. Iceberg actually is taking too much damage, 300 pop almost. He needs to get out of there. Almost was able to turn around and kill off Miracle there, but unfortunately Miracle actually is going to end up dying himself with Aegis with the last hit of the tower. Really, really well played, and now they're in a situation where they take off one of the barracks, the ranged one down in bottom, and I think that Miracle's going to be able to get away with maybe taking the melee here. He might have gotten a little bit greedy. There's going to be the armor coming in, and yeah, he should be okay to only lose the one in that bottom lane. Oh my goodness.
It's still so much damage done. Oh god, Miracle. Just deafening blast and right clicks. This guy hits like a truck. Mini swap from Fly. I'm gonna keep his teammate alive for a little bit longer, and there we see the mechanism working. Miracles onto Miracle. And Fly will give his life away just to save his teammate, but it is the Invoker. So it's Fly's job here. Rest in pieces. Their base is in shambles.
Really well done. They're pinging it out now. They're ready to keep on going. If they're able to kill off the tree here, that'd be pretty freaking huge. Another strike a second time through, stealing a little bit more. That was Leech Seed that ended up getting taken. Overgrowth still does get off. Iceberg in the time is continuing to try and hit away here. Eul's Scepter keeping him alive, and Afterlife has come on in to try and be able to kill him off. Nice Astral Imprisonment keeping him there. Gets pushed on up towards the high ground. Is going to be able to turn around and start dealing damage to Moon, but I'm not sure if it's enough. Atos out one time through. Crit ends up falling. Meanwhile, Team Spirit are coming back at it. They want to see if they can take him on out here. They don't have the ability to quite catch up. Dust does just hit Moon on the very edge of it. Charge through onto 4. Might be able to get out of this one. No! Gets interrupted there by Zeus, and he is going to end up falling. Sunstrike through to kill off Afterlife. What a freaking player.
Wow.
Invoker.
Jeez.
Oh, God.
If only there was a couple more heroes clumped up, he may have survived.
Yeah. It was really well played, though. The fact to, like, pick him out of the... You probably at some point are just, like, throwing them out there and hoping, but we'll say that he intentionally did that the whole time through.
Such a pro. Such a pro. Mjolnir on the drow. No Tail attacks like a truck. He attacks so quickly as well.
Oh my god, is he gonna go Ags?
Who, drow?
He just picked up the point booster. Oh my god, we're gonna see
it. The pseudo Medusa.
Oh jeez. Alright guys, we're doing it. This game needs to last another like 7 minutes. That way we see the drow Ags. This is pretty awesome though. OG feeling very confident in what they're doing. We've got the Miracle Invoker with the drums into Mechanism, Vlad's AC, followed up by the Drow Mjolnir into Aghanim Scepter. And it does look like Ramses is stuck there. They ended up being able to spot him out. He needs to buy that TP. He went straight crit, so I don't know. This is a moment where you're going very standard item builds for Team Spirit, and maybe OG, we'll say, experimenting a little bit. I don't know.
Oh, there's a left there. They spotted at Godblack. Do they have detection? No, he walks out Sentry Ward. Oh, they get the swap there. Can they catch up Godblack? He's pretty much dead.
What a play by Fly.
Very good play. And look at Spirit. They're all retreating. Their tree's not there. If there's no overgrowth, they can't team fight properly. They have vision of always want to fly. They don't have the swap though, as they already used it. And here comes the high ground push from OG. They're going to secure this game one if they can take this fight quite convincingly. There's no T3 towers and only Raxes. And with no overgrowth, you could say that Spirit's teamfight is severely hampered.
Definitely. Well, they do end up throwing out the Veil right from the start, able to steal another spell. That one was Arc Lightning. Worth noting, you know, Static Field's still incredibly powerful, and it does look like Tree is going to be back up in a couple of minutes here. With the overgrowth trees around here, you really need to be careful. Several of them are going to end up getting spotted, as we do have Ramses getting chased over by Moonmeander. Is he going to end up being able to get killed? No. Just pops the Shadow Blade one time, pops Ramses on his butt, and then walks away from it. Very well played.
So for the moment, it just looks like OG is exerting their pressure on Miracle. Looks like Spirit were thinking about it. They were all going to bum rush him, and then they just second guessed it and said, nope, bad idea. We want to win this game. We better not throw it now. Whereas the Roche timer, what are we going to get?
Pretty soon.
We are going to get
1 minute 9. Not bad. Charge a second time through. Nice blink away by Ramses, recognizing the inherent danger. They do drop on down the ward there, which means that they spot out that was there. Still haven't seen a whole heck of a lot of taking down of the trees yet, which is something that they really need to keep an eye on here. If they do end up picking up, like... See, the problem is that for the Vengeful Spirit as well as the Rubik, you want to be able to continue to get those items. You don't want to have to go back for like a Quelling Blade and a Gem to get the deforestation done.
Oh, God, obviously. And they're making a good decision here. They're hanging around the Roche pit as well as the bottom lane just because Spirit know that OG have been in their jungle for quite a bit, so they did put a lot of trees down. And then OG said, okay, we're not going to deal with these shenanigans now. We want the Roche. Oh, can they actually catch out Moon? No, they can't actually. And the immediate charge moving into the top lane, it seems, and everyone on Spirit, they're going to try and go for a grip. They might be able to kill off Moon, but the rest of OG... Are they coming in from behind? They go Black coming in. Dust has been deployed. They do have vision of the Vengeful Spirit, and they actually kill her off in time. It looks like everyone on OG have just pretty much split out of this, and they're going to let their allies drop as 2 on OG are dead, and the Roche has quite literally respawned. So if Spirit spots this out, they could think about going in there, but then again, Spirit probably don't even want to attempt the Roche.
I think it's worth checking it out, and now full information across the board. Always Wanna Fly does see it. It's a 20k net worth lead still for OG. It does not feel that significant at this stage in the game. There's still definitely a chance for a comeback here. It's going to need to come off the back of some really great plays with the Vengeful Spirit buyback. They need to be careful. Oh god, they don't have God Strength for another 40 seconds. They kind of need to get out of here, although they do have the Eyes in the Forest Tree right here in front of the Roche pit. This could be so significant if they're able to make this happen, and it does look like the Drow is going to end up getting taken out right at the start.
They need God Strength. They need it so badly.
They might be able to get a big overgrowth off, continuing to hit away. Miracle is going to get caught up in the middle of all of it. Right clicks abound, but not enough damage. Afterlife on the back lane's trying to be able to take out Drow Ranger. Not quite time. He is going to be able to kill off the Sven. Meanwhile, everybody on the side of Team Spirit is dying. The only person left alive is going to be Iceberg, as well as the Bane, who's very shortly going to die as well. 5 heroes end up going down, and Team Spirit can only look on in abject horror as their Roshan is dead, their base is soon to be dead. Oh god.
They needed the God Strength so badly. Like, Sven tried to fight in there and he was thinking, maybe I'll hit enough just with my Crystallis and right clicks. No. You hit like a puppy, my friend. You don't actually hit that hard. So he wasn't really a threat, and Miracle just focused him down because he knew that, hey, if Sven hasn't popped his God Strength, that's on cooldown, and I may as well kill him before it's off cooldown. So they just did it. Now T4s are under siege, and first one's going to drop very shortly, and here comes the Sven, straight away stun, only on Tippy, but he gets immediately lifted. He has no BKB for 6 seconds. If he dies, that's it. GG, I think. I preemptively called it, but this is pretty much it for Spirit. Yeah, and yeah, there's a GG.
Yeah, that was just... at the same time, like, you can say, alright, they didn't do the best job in the world, they probably shouldn't have gone for that Roshan. They had to do something. Like, there was no way that they just sort of around there, so you've got to at least force those buybacks. Maybe you could argue that they could have sort of retreated back to their own secret shop and waited for God's Strength to go back up, and maybe OG doesn't quite commit immediately for the Roshan, but I think that they were already too far deep in a hole to not go for a